Welcome back. Taking a live look now over Los Angeles, California, the entertainment capital of the world. Your favorite TV series and movie franchises could be getting delayed for the indefinite future as screenwriters are heading to the picket line. Talks collapsed last night between the Writers Guild of America and their movie studio higher-ups. 11,000 writers are now on strike. That's a move that could stop work on hundreds of productions, and late-night talk shows will actually be airing some reruns starting tonight until the strike ends. Streaming content remains the big issue here. The WGA says that despite record profits, writers make less money and work under strained conditions.
Streaming series are half the length. They're typically 10 episodes of a network series, but more writers are drawn into the system because there are more series. So you have more writers, but less work for them to do. There's a basic mismatch in the labor market.
Things in the climate change constantly, and we have to be able to adjust for that. Like, the Constitution has been amended, guys, like our contract needs to be amended. We have like streaming, we have smaller rooms, there's all these different demands, and we're not seeing any benefit financially.
Let's go ahead and bring in Thomas Manning with the North Carolina Film Critics Association. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Annie. I really appreciate it.
All right, so we already know that some late night shows are going to have to start airing reruns starting tonight, but what other impacts are all of us as viewers going to start seeing here pretty soon?
Yeah, so essentially what we have here is that any script that has been finished, those productions can continue to go on. However, if there is a production in which they're still working on the script or they haven't finished the script yet, basically those productions will be halted immediately. And that's across all the film and television. And so anything in that regard, the general rule of thumb is that if the script is finished, you're good to go. But if not, then things are going to be, halted immediately.
And as we know, the Carolinas has become kind of a hidden gem for productions of all kinds. So how do you think this might impact projects that are going on here?
Yeah, North Carolina has definitely been making a comeback as a hotspot for film productions. It was pretty massive, as we know, throughout the 90s and up into the 2000s. But in the mid 2010s, for a variety of factors, production started to go elsewhere, Atlanta in particular. But within the past few years, a lot of projects have picked back up in the state, and we've had record-breaking years in terms of revenue for North Carolina coming from the film industry. Like last year in particular, we had $250 million coming from the film industry in revenue. And even right now, a couple recent notable productions in North Carolina include the Netflix series Florida Man, which was filmed in Wilmington. Then we have the movie Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, the adaptation of the Judy Blume novel. That was filmed in the Charlotte area. And there are a handful of other high-profile projects in North Carolina that are either currently in production or set to be in production later this year. And personally, I'm not 100% sure on the status of each of these in particular and whether or not these scripts are things that have already been completed or if they're things that they're still touching up on. But we will probably see some effects depending on how long the strike lasts. And it could be a few months or years before we start seeing the direct impact on the content that is being produced and distributed for us as the viewers, as the audience members. But as far as people working in the industry in their day-to-day lives, it affects them immediately.
Well, right. And getting back to the whole reason for the strike, there's a lot of challenges that writers say they're dealing with. What are they talking about in terms of this new age of streaming and how it's putting a strain on them?
Right. So one of the core elements is a matter of the residuals that are coming in from media on streaming services. The issue here is that the average income of writers in the WGA has decreased over the last 10 years or so, and there's an imbalance in the distribution of the streaming residuals coming between the WGA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. And there's also no guarantee of weekly employment in episodic television specifically, and not to mention the wild card element of AI. The WGA basically wants to ensure that AI is not used in screenwriting in certain regards. The concern there is stripping away the human element of written material, which is very, very understandable in my point of view.
All right, definitely a lot of nuances here that most of us at home don't even really realize, but they will impact us eventually. Thomas, with the North Carolina Film Critics Association, thanks so much for being here.